Hey everybody, it's Beauthemechanic. Told you guys it's a rainy Monday, so I'm just making a bunch of videos. Hopefully it'll help somebody. I don't know. But today, what we're going to talk about specifically is struts. Struts, what are they? Struts, shocks, whatever you want to call them, okay? What does it do? Well, how do cars work? Your suspension obviously has to have some type of way to rebound and change the road. If it was just pieces of metal, or if the tire was just welded to the body somehow, there'd be no flex. It'd just be rigid. You'd wreck and die. It'd be crappy. So what they do is they use springs. Okay, they use a couple different kind of springs. There's only like a couple that I even know of. I mean, there's most traditional cars are going to use leaf springs or coil springs, and you've seen them, I'm sure, like little flat leaf springs on pickup trucks in the back, or a coil spring, which is just a big spring, like a coil, like a slinky or whatever you might think about, like a spring for your door. And basically, what is a strut? What's a shock? Well, you know, your car rides on those springs, okay, but the problem with the spring is you push on it and it rebounds right back to where it was. It doesn't slowly, controlled come back, okay? So the problem is when you're driving around, you hit a bump, and this is what you're going to feel. This is one of the drivability symptoms that you see people complain a lot about. You're driving and the car just bounces all over the place, okay? Or you hit a pothole and it just feels all crazy. Not like it did when it was new. Well, when it was new, it had those struts, or shock absorbers, what they're called. And basically it's a cylinder that's filled with a gas, nitrogen gas, or whatever gas it might be, and it's got little dampers inside there, little valves. And so basically as you press on it, it goes down at a controlled rate and it comes up at a controlled rate, you know? So imagine if you have that spring and you push on it and you let go. It goes right back to where it was. But the strut, okay, it's sitting right next to it, maybe bolted to the side of the truck, or what, maybe on like the Lexus that I'm working on, it's actually in the center of the spring, just a way to make it smaller. But and I'll show you in a second. But basically that strut goes up in the center, and it's got that hydraulic gas, basically the gas, and it compresses and goes back up at a set rate. And so what that does is when you're driving around on the road, you hit a bump, and instead of the car just bouncing right back to where it was and kind of making the steering feel all crazy, it comes back at a very controlled rate, and it's very easy for you to maintain the control of the car. And it's been done for a long time. In the old days, they used hydraulic fluid in the older cars, like the 50s cars, and they were called struts back then, and shocks. And nowadays we use nitrogen gas with advances in technology and all that other stuff, okay? But anyway, long story short, let's take a look at it. And I'm gonna show you guys kind of how you would diagnose stuff, okay? Once again, we're working on this Lexus. It's a 99. They're all the same though. 99, 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 6, it doesn't matter. They're all about the same car. Okay, so, this car, when you're driving it, what you're gonna feel is you'll hit, like I said, for one thing, you'll hit bumps and the car will shake, a whole bunch when you hit a bump. Okay, that's one drivability issue. Another thing you'll notice big time, and what I always tell people, is if you're driving and you're coming along and you hit the brakes, the whole front of the car will dip, okay? And when it dips, there's no controlled rebound, so it just pops right back up when you let off the brakes. Another way to check it too is what you'll see a lot of mechanics do is we'll walk up to the side of the car and we'll press on it. I don't know if you guys can tell, the car just moves. Let me set up this camera, this tripod for you, and maybe we'll get a better look. Alright, I set the tripod up. Hopefully you guys can get a better look at this, okay? So you're driving down the road, you hit the brakes, the car will dip, and it dips really bad. If both your struts are blown, it's going to dip pretty hard. And the reason it does that is, like I said, is that your coil spring itself is just like a spring. It's compressing a little bit and shooting right back to where it was. It wants to go right back to where it was, and those dampeners are going to let it go at a controlled rate. So let's just say you want to check them. Okay, here's how you're going to check them. You walk up to the corner of the car, I'll press on it. You see how the car just moves? It just bounces and goes right back to where it was. Now I don't weigh very much, but you can see I can move the car quite a bit and it goes right back to where it was. And we'll go check the other side. So let's move our camera and I'll show you the other side. The other side feels a little bit worse. See the other side, this side's even blown even more. You see how it just rebounds right to where it was. Well, that's how you're going to check your car. If you got a Honda Accord or whatever it is, it's all going to be the same. You're going to check it just like that. Press on one side, press on the other, go to the back of the car, press on this side. Sometimes you got to actually step on the back bumper and press on it, and you'll see that I'm just barely touching it right now. And you can see the whole car rocks. Bad. So these the back struts on this thing are completely blown. that front driver's side is completely blown, and I'm thinking this passenger side is, you know, it's not completely blown, but it's on its way. And once again, I mean, the car has 180 grand on it, and you know, this is to be expected. And so when you hear people talk about struts, you know, like, oh, change your struts for safety. That's why they talk about for safety, because it's such a crazy, without the struts or the shock absorbers, you know, when you hit potholes or something, it kind of makes the car feel unsafe. You know, not that it's going to kill you or anything like that, but, you know, it's a lot smoother ride for sure, and it's a lot more controlled ride, and that's what they talk about for safety. You know, that's why you should watch your struts. You know, and if you want your car to get back to the way that it drove when you first bought it, the struts are 99% of the problem. Maybe 10% of the problem is the bushings and other rubber-related components. Well, this is what I got here. Okay, I ordered all my stuff from Rock Auto. I buy tons of parts from everywhere, but I found that Rock Auto does a really good job for struts. These are very comparable, these KYBs, these are very comparable to what came on the car, factory. So it's going to provide like a very smooth, you know, just like the car was when it was brand new. And hopefully we'll get it fixed here soon. You know, there's a lot of other options out there. You know, you can get stiffer ones. Let's say if you're racing a lot, you know, you can get a lot stiffer strut or shock absorber, you know, meaning that it takes a lot more compressive energy to get that thing to go up and down. And I mean, that's just all, once again, that's, you know, what you're doing with a car. If you're racing the car, or if it's a street car or a hot rod. For what I do, this is a customer's car. It's going to go, you know, right back on the road as a daily driver. So we want it to be smooth, just like it used to be, the way Lexuses are supposed to be. So like I said, you can get these from rockauto.com. They're a great website, 100% reliable. I've never had anything bad happen with them, and you know, very timely too. They'll get your parts quick. I think they got free shipping too, over like $100 or something. So if you have a question, it's like, where should I buy these parts from? You know, you can buy them from AutoZone in those places, but they're pretty expensive. For the money, I'd go with Rock Auto or someplace like that and get you know, what came on your car. So here we go. I'm going to show you guys now. I'm going to jack the car up and we're going to get started. I'm going to yank the back tires off. The back tires on this Ferrari, we'll do the back first and get it up on jack stands, and then I'll show you what bolts to take free and how to do this. It's really simple. It's just time consuming. And so here we go.